Kian had always been small for his age. His clothes were old and torn, and he had no home to call his own. Yet he carried a sharp mind that was rare for someone so young. Every day he roamed the streets of Orion 9, the largest spaceport city in the galaxy. Shiny buildings towered above him, neon lights glowed, and ships of all sizes landed and took off with loud engines. People in elegant clothes walked quickly, paying no attention to a boy like Kian. Despite his situation, Kian loved to learn. He had a small bag filled with books he found in dumpsters and old machines he had salvaged. He could read complex diagrams and understand how machines worked. Even though no one had taught him, he learned quickly by observing and experimenting. Every evening he would climb to the rooftops and watch the city lights, imagining what it would be like to invent something that could change the world. On this particular morning, Kian noticed something unusual. Near a large building with glass walls and bright banners, a group of people was testing a strange new machine. It had pipes, wires, and blinking lights. Smoke or mist came out of it. But it looked unusual, almost like it was moving in waves instead of drifting in the air. Most people were curious but stayed far away. Some laughed, some recorded it with their devices, and some walked quickly without noticing anything. Kian, however, felt something was wrong. His instincts, sharp from years of careful observation, told him that the device was dangerous. He grabbed a small sensor he had built and moved closer, hiding behind a stack of crates. He watched the machine and felt a strange chill in the air. The readings on his device rose quickly. He had learned about harmful gases from old textbooks and experiments. He knew this was not safe. He ran toward the building, shouting at the top of his lungs, "Stop! It's poison!" The people around him turned to see the small boy yelling. Some laughed, thinking it was just a child playing. Others frowned, annoyed that a homeless boy dared to disturb them. Inside the building, Taro Ven, the billionaire inventor, stood with his team. He was preparing to unveil the energy prototype he had been working on for years. The machine could produce almost unlimited energy using a new chemical reaction. It was supposed to change the energy systems of every planet in the galaxy. Taro smiled as he looked at the crowd outside, expecting applause and excitement. But then he heard the voice. "Stop! It's poison!" Taro froze. The words were clear, sharp, and urgent. He looked through the glass and saw a small boy pointing directly at his machine. The boy's eyes were wide with fear and his hands shook. He looked so ordinary, yet something in his tone made Taro pause. There was no hesitation, no exaggeration, just a simple warning. He waved for the security team to hold. "Wait," he said, his voice steady but cautious. "Let him speak." Kian noticed the eyes of the adults looking at him. Some were skeptical, some angry, and some curious. He swallowed his fear and ran closer. He had no idea who the man inside was, but he knew he had to stop the machine before it could harm anyone. He reached the front of the building and showed the small sensor on his bag. "Look," he said, holding it up. "The air. It's dangerous. You can't run that machine. It's going to poison everyone near it." Taro stepped outside now, walking slowly toward Kian. He was tall, dressed in an elegant suit with a shining emblem on his chest. He had seen many young inventors before, but none like this boy. Taro squatted down to Kian's level. "You really think it's dangerous?" Taro asked, his voice calm but curious. "Yes," Kian said without hesitation. "I've measured it. The gas is not normal. If it spreads, people could get sick. Machines could fail. You need to stop it now." A few engineers around Taro exchanged worried glances. Some whispered to each other. One said, "It's just a street kid. What does he know?" But Taro was not so sure. He had learned long ago that intelligence does not always come in suits or degrees. Sometimes it came in small, unexpected forms. He studied Kian carefully. The boy's eyes were focused and his hands moved confidently as he explained his readings. There was no exaggeration, no panic, just facts and knowledge. "Show me," Taro said. "I want to see the readings." Kian opened his bag and pulled out the sensor, attaching it near the machine. The device beeped rapidly, showing numbers that were indeed alarming. Taro's engineers frowned as they studied the display. The numbers confirmed Kian's warning. "You might be right," Taro said quietly. He motioned for the workers to step back. "Everyone evacuate immediately. The machine needs to be shut down." Kian watched carefully as the team moved quickly. He knew every second counted. He could see that some people were still skeptical, still thinking it was an overreaction. But Taro was serious, and that was enough to convince most of them. As the machine powered down, the mist in the air slowly disappeared. Kian breathed a little easier, but he did not relax completely. He had learned that danger often hid in places no one expected, and even small mistakes could be costly. Taro looked at Kian with respect. "You saved lives today," he said. "You noticed something no one else did." "How did you know?" Kian shrugged. "I watch and learn. I don't trust what looks safe if it doesn't feel right." "I just noticed it," Taro smiled faintly. He had met brilliant scientists before, but this boy had something different. It was not just knowledge, it was courage, intuition, and the ability to act when it mattered most. "Do you want to come inside?" Taro asked. "I want to understand how you figured this out." Kian hesitated. He had never been invited into a building like this. He had never spoken to someone so important, but curiosity overcame fear. "Okay," he said softly. Inside, the building was even more impressive. Machines with blinking lights, holographic screens, and intricate devices filled the room. Engineers walked quickly, working on systems that Kian had only seen in books. Taro guided him to a small workstation and asked him to explain what he saw. Kian pointed to the parts of the machine that were dangerous. He explained the chemical reactions, the heat, and how the gas formed. He showed simple sketches and calculations he had made from observation. The engineers around them listened carefully. Even though Kian spoke simply, his understanding was clear. Taro nodded. "You have a rare mind, Kian. Most adults would not notice these things until it was too late. You saved the project and lives today." Kian felt a small smile. He had never been praised like this. Usually people ignored him or chased him away. For the first time, he felt someone saw his value. "You could learn a lot here," Taro continued. "If you want, I can teach you more. You already know more than some engineers half your age. Imagine what you could do if you had proper guidance." Kian thought about the streets, the cold nights, and the hunger. But he also thought about machines, inventions, and the chance to help people in ways he had only dreamed of. "I want to learn," he said finally. Taro smiled. "Good. We will start tomorrow. You will be my apprentice. And you will help me make this city, this planet, and maybe the galaxy safer with your ideas." Kian's eyes widened. He could hardly believe it. From a boy on the streets shouting warnings that no one listened to, he was now being offered a chance to learn from one of the greatest inventors alive. That night, as he walked back to the small alley where he slept, Kian felt something he had never felt before. Hope. Not just for food or shelter, but for the future. He knew that one day he could make a real difference and perhaps even show the galaxy what humans were capable of when they used their courage and minds together. And so the boy who had yelled, "Stop! It's poison!" became the first spark in a story that would change the city forever. He had learned that even a small human could make a huge difference and that knowledge, courage, and action were more powerful than wealth, machines, or fear. Kian lay on the roof that night looking at the stars above Orion 9. He thought about the day, about Taro, and about the machine that could have caused disaster. He felt ready for what came next. Tomorrow he would step into a new world, a world where humans mattered more than ever and where one brave mind could save thousands. The next morning, Kian arrived at Taroven's building before sunrise. The city of Orion 9 was waking up slowly, with ships leaving the spaceport and vendors setting up stalls in the streets. Kian felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was his first day inside a real laboratory, a place full of inventions he had only dreamed about. Taro was already waiting at the entrance, smiling. "Good, you are on time," he said. "Punctuality is important when working on dangerous experiments." Kian nodded seriously. "Yes, sir," he replied. He felt proud to be treated as someone capable of responsibility. Inside the building, the lab was buzzing with activity. Engineers moved quickly, checking screens, adjusting machines, and running calculations. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing energy patterns, chemical formulas, and simulations. Kian's eyes widened in wonder. He had never seen anything like this in his life. Taro guided him to a workstation. "Today I want to show you the machine again," he said. "We need to understand exactly what went wrong yesterday and why your warning was correct. Learning from mistakes is how humans improve, even in a galaxy full of machines." Kian leaned closer to the machine. He noticed small details he had missed yesterday. The tiny cracks in a pipe, faint discoloration on the metal, and subtle vibrations in the core. He realized that these small signs were clues that could help prevent accidents. "Look at this," he said, pointing to a thin tube. "If the gas escapes here, it will mix with the air quickly. The sensors might not notice it fast enough, but people can breathe it in before any alarm sounds." One of the engineers frowned. "You really noticed that?" Kian smiled faintly. "I just watch carefully and think about what could happen next." Taro nodded approvingly. "That is human thinking. Machines can calculate, but humans can predict based on experience and imagination. That is why your insight is valuable." The team began a careful investigation of the machine, guided by Kian's observations. They tested each part, checking for leaks, energy fluctuations, and chemical reactions. Kian helped by holding small sensors, taking notes, and suggesting experiments. Each time he pointed out a potential risk, the engineers paused and adjusted their calculations. Hours passed, and Kian grew tired, but he did not complain. He was learning more in a single day than he had in months on the streets. He saw how humans could combine careful observation with knowledge to solve problems. Machines alone could not do this. During a break, Taro sat beside Kian. "You have a gift, Kian. Most people your age would be afraid or ignore danger. You noticed it and acted. That is rare," Kian shrugged. "I have to be careful. Life on the streets teaches you to notice things quickly." Taro smiled. "You turned your experience into skill. That is what makes humans extraordinary. We see things, imagine possibilities, and act with courage. Even in a galaxy full of advanced machines, human intelligence is still the strongest tool we have." Kian felt a warm pride. He had never been recognized like this before. Most people ignored him, laughed at him, or chased him away. But Taro was different. He respected Kian's mind, not his background. As the investigation continued, Kian noticed something else. A part of the machine's control system did not respond correctly to the sensors. The engineers had assumed the system was perfect, but Kian's sharp eyes saw the flaw. "If this panel fails during operation," Kian said, pointing to a small console, "the gas could release faster than the alarms detect. People would not have time to react." Taro leaned closer and examined the console. "You are right," he said. "No one noticed this because it is small and hidden. Humans notice what machines cannot. You are teaching us something important today." The engineers quickly redesigned the system to add extra safeguards. They added backup sensors, emergency shutoff valves, and visual alarms that could be seen even if other systems failed. Kian helped them test each change, watching carefully for mistakes. While they worked, Kian asked questions. "Why do you make this machine?" he asked. Taro thought for a moment. "To help people," he said. "To give energy to cities that cannot afford it. To explore planets without destroying the environment. But we also learn about ourselves. Creating new technology teaches us responsibility, foresight, and courage. Humans must guide the machines or they can cause harm." Kian nodded. He understood. He had seen people depend on technology that failed them, but he had also seen the cleverness of humans who fixed problems with their minds and hands. Later, as they tested the revised system, a small alarm went off. Kian noticed it immediately. "The pressure is rising here," he said, pointing to a gauge. "It needs to release slowly or it could burst." The engineers checked, then quickly adjusted the release valves. The system stabilized. Taro smiled. "You are fast," he said. "Your instincts save time and prevent accidents. That is the advantage of human thinking over machines alone." By the afternoon, the investigation was complete. The machine was safe, the gas controlled, and the system upgraded. Kian felt tired but happy. He had learned so much, and he had helped prevent disaster again. Taro gathered the team. "Thanks to Kian, we discovered problems we would have missed. His observations and intuition are as important as the best engineering. Humans must always be part of technology, guiding it with intelligence and courage." Kian felt proud. He had never heard words like this before. Most people only saw him as a street boy, but now he felt like a real inventor, a thinker, and a hero in his own way. After the work was done, Taro led Kian to a quiet room. "You have potential," he said, "not just in noticing danger, but in creating solutions. Tomorrow, we will start teaching you more. I want you to understand every part of this machine so you can improve it and even design your own one day." Kian smiled. "I want that," he said. "I want to help." Taro nodded. "Good. Humans can do extraordinary things when they combine courage, creativity, and knowledge. Today you showed that. Tomorrow we will go further." That evening, Kian returned to his small corner of the city. He thought about the machines, the alarms, and the lessons he had learned. For the first time, he felt that his life could change. The streets had taught him to survive, but the lab was teaching him to thrive. He looked at the sky, imagining the stars and the worlds beyond. If humans could guide machines, protect each other, and use intelligence wisely, they could achieve incredible things. Kian felt a spark of hope that he had never felt before. He was no longer just a boy on the streets. He was a human with a mind that could change the future. And deep inside, Kian knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and new opportunities. He was ready to face them. In Orion 9, a small boy had shown that courage, observation, and human intelligence could prevent disaster. That lesson would echo far beyond the city, teaching everyone that humans, even the youngest and most overlooked, could shape the world. Kian smiled to himself. He had survived the streets, but now he was beginning to thrive. He had a teacher, a mission, and a purpose, and with each lesson he would grow stronger, smarter, and braver. This was only the beginning of his story, a story where humans would rise, shine, and lead with their minds and hearts, and Kian was ready to lead the way. The morning sun rose over Orion 9, casting long shadows across the crowded streets and shiny towers. Kian woke with a sense of excitement and nervousness. Today, Taro had promised he would show him more than machines and sensors. He would show him how humans could protect what they created. When Kian arrived at the building, Taro was already waiting. "Good morning, Kian," he said. "Today we have an important task. You will learn why humans must be vigilant even when technology seems perfect." Kian followed him inside, eager to begin. The laboratory was alive with energy. Engineers worked on simulations, adjusted energy flows, and monitored the machine Kian had warned about. Kian noticed that every detail was checked, every alarm tested, and every system backed up. Still, something in Taro's expression told him that today was going to be more than just lessons in safety. "Yesterday, you helped prevent an accident," Taro said. "Today you will see that danger can come in many forms, not just from machines." Before Kian could ask what he meant, a sudden alert flashed across the central screen. The alarm sounded loudly, echoing through the lab. Engineers froze, eyes wide. Kian looked at the screen and saw a red warning. "Unauthorized access detected." "What does that mean?" Kian asked. "It means someone is trying to interfere with our machine," Taro replied. His calm voice carried authority, but Kian could sense tension underneath. "We are being sabotaged." Kian's heart pounded. He had read about sabotage in old news reports, but he had never faced it himself. Taro quickly gathered the team. "Check all systems. Find the source. Kian, I need you to watch the energy flows. You might see something that the machines cannot detect." Kian moved to the monitoring station, focusing on the streams of data and holographic graphs. His eyes scanned every spike, every anomaly. He noticed a subtle shift in the energy pattern, something the automated systems had ignored. "There," Kian said, pointing at a small fluctuation near the secondary console. "Someone is trying to override the safety controls. If they succeed, the gas will release too fast and the alarms might fail." One engineer looked at him in disbelief. "How did you see that?" "The system should detect all anomalies." Kian smiled faintly. "Machines can follow rules, but humans can notice patterns that seem normal but are actually wrong." Taro nodded. "Exactly. Humans can think outside the code. Kian, let's trace the intruder." They followed Kian's observation and discovered that the rival corporation had hacked into the building's network. Their goal was clear: sabotage the energy prototype to make it appear unsafe. This would ruin Taro's reputation and allow the rivals to control energy supplies in the city. Kian felt a surge of determination. "We have to stop them before they can damage the machine," he said. Taro placed a hand on his shoulder. "And we will. But we must be smart. This is where human ingenuity matters more than machines. Follow your instincts and think carefully about your next move." The engineers tried to isolate the hack, but the intruders had covered their tracks well. Kian noticed that the intruders were using multiple entry points, switching signals and bypassing automated alerts. The situation was complex, but Kian's mind worked quickly. He suggested shutting down the main console temporarily to force the intruders into a single access point. "Do it," Taro said. "We need to control the flow before we can fix it." Kian watched as the system went offline briefly. Alarms stopped. Lights blinked, and the engineers held their breath. But Kian had anticipated this. He monitored the energy pattern carefully, and as predicted, the intruder focused on the remaining console. There, Kian pointed. This is their main access. If we secure it, we can stop them. Taro and the engineers acted quickly, isolating the console and adding additional security layers. They reactivated the system slowly, keeping a careful eye on the energy flows. Kian's sharp observation prevented any dangerous spikes. While the engineers worked, Kian noticed something else. A small hatch near the machine's core was slightly open. The gas release valve here is exposed, he said. If someone reaches it, they could trigger the release manually. Taro looked at him, alarmed. Good catch. We need someone to guard it. Without hesitation, Kian volunteered. He climbed up carefully, his small hands steady as he secured the hatch and checked the surrounding panels. He could feel the vibration of the machine beneath his feet, the subtle hum of energy. Every second mattered. From his position, Kian noticed a shadow moving along the corridor. Someone was approaching the machine. He whispered to Taro, "They're here. They might try to access the valve." Taro quickly signaled the security team. Intercept them before they reach the core. Kian stayed at the hatch monitoring the shadow. He realized that the intruder was clever, avoiding cameras and sensors. Using his small size and agility, Kian moved silently along the maintenance panels, following the intruder. He reached a point just above the corridor and saw the person tampering with a control panel. Kian had an idea. He carefully dropped a small magnetic clamp onto the intruder's panel, jamming it temporarily. The intruder cursed but could not fix it quickly. Kian signaled to the security team, who arrived and captured the intruder without harm. Taro watched the scene with admiration. You acted quickly and wisely. Machines alone could not have stopped this. Humans have intuition, courage, and creativity. You demonstrated all of these, Kian. Kian felt a surge of pride. He had faced danger, protected the machine, and prevented a disaster. More importantly, he had learned that humans could always find solutions that machines might miss. After the intruder was secured, Taro gathered the team. This was a serious threat, he said, but it also proved something important. Machines are powerful, but humans guide them. Observation, imagination, and action are what make humans extraordinary. Kian smiled. He had never heard anything like this before. On the streets, people ignored him. In this lab, people listened. They valued his mind, his courage, and his quick thinking. For the rest of the day, Kian and Taro reviewed the machine carefully. They tested each system multiple times, checked every sensor, and rehearsed safety procedures. Kian noticed small details the engineers overlooked. Tiny vibrations, subtle changes in temperature, and minor fluctuations in energy. Each time he pointed them out, the team adjusted their approach. By evening, the machine was not only safe but stronger than before. The sabotage attempt had revealed weaknesses they would not have noticed otherwise. Kian felt proud. He had not only helped prevent a disaster but also improved the machine itself. Taro placed a hand on his shoulder. You have an exceptional mind, Kian. Today you showed that humans are not just operators or followers. We can lead, adapt, and protect. That is why we are powerful even in a galaxy full of machines. Kian looked at the screens, the engineers, and the machine. He understood what Taro meant. Machines were tools, but humans were the ones who could create, fix, and protect. Humans could think beyond rules, beyond codes, beyond algorithms. That night, as Kian walked back to his small shelter, he thought about the day. He had faced real danger, used his mind and courage, and helped protect others. The streets had taught him survival, but the lab had taught him power, the power of human intelligence and bravery. He looked at the stars above Orion 9. In a galaxy of endless possibilities, humans were still extraordinary. Small, unnoticed, and ordinary in appearance, yet capable of incredible things. Kian felt ready for the challenges ahead. He was no longer just a boy who warned people. He was a protector, a thinker, and a human capable of extraordinary deeds. And deep inside, Kian knew that the threat they faced today was only the beginning. There were greater challenges ahead, but he was ready. With his mind, courage, and human ingenuity, he would face whatever came next in Orion 9. A small boy had proven that humans could rise above danger, think faster than machines, and act when others hesitated. That lesson would carry him far beyond the city, into adventures where his courage and intelligence would be tested again and again. Kian smiled faintly to himself. He had survived the streets, faced sabotage, and learned the true power of human potential. And he knew, without a doubt, that the story was only beginning. The city of Orion 9 shone under the morning light, its towers reflecting the sun and the sky filled with ships of every size. Kian arrived at Taroven's building, excitement and determination in his eyes. Yesterday had been dangerous, but it had also been a lesson. Today, Taro promised something more. Inside the laboratory, the engineers were already at work. Screens displayed energy flows, security systems, and data from the previous day's sabotage attempt. Kian noticed that the machine had been adjusted and upgraded, but something in Taro's expression suggested that today would test more than just the technology. Kian, Taro said, yesterday you helped us stop a sabotage attempt. But danger is not always simple. Machines and alarms can only do so much. Today, we need humans to think, observe, and act. That is why you are here. Kian nodded. He understood. He had learned that machines followed rules, but humans could think beyond rules. Humans could improvise, imagine, and protect. The morning passed with drills and simulations. Kian monitored energy flows, checked sensors, and suggested small adjustments. Each time he noticed a detail, engineers acted, preventing small errors from becoming large problems. Kian realized that his observations, though simple, had a significant effect. Even the smallest insight could prevent a disaster. Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed through the building. Red lights flashed and screens displayed a warning. Critical energy spike detected. Potential overload. Kian's heart raced. He ran to the main console, watching the energy patterns. The secondary coolant system is failing, he shouted. If it stops, the core could overheat and the machine might explode. Engineers scrambled to follow procedures, but the situation was critical. The automated systems were trying to stabilize the machine, but the speed of the spike was too fast for them. Kian saw an opportunity. Turn off the main reactor temporarily, he ordered calmly. Redirect the flow to the auxiliary lines. It will stabilize the core long enough for us to fix the coolant system. Taro watched in amazement. Kian, are you sure? He asked. Yes, Kian replied. It is the fastest way to prevent an overload. Machines alone cannot do this. The engineers followed Kian's instructions. The main reactor powered down briefly, and energy flowed through the auxiliary lines. The spike slowed and the core stabilized. Kian breathed a little easier, but he knew the danger was not over. While the engineers worked on the coolant system, Kian climbed to the maintenance platforms to inspect the pipes directly. He noticed a small crack that had been overlooked. Here, he said. This pipe is leaking slightly. It will fail if we do not reinforce it. One engineer looked surprised. How did you see that? Our sensors did not detect it. Kian smiled faintly. Humans notice what machines cannot. Small signs, tiny changes, patterns that are unusual. Machines only see numbers. Humans see the world. Taro nodded in agreement. That is why humans are powerful. We can adapt, imagine, and act faster than any algorithm. Kian, you are showing us the true human edge. Kian reinforced the pipe using spare materials, creating a temporary fix that allowed the coolant system to stabilize completely. The engineers followed his design, and soon the machine was running safely again. But the challenge was not over. A new alert appeared. The sabotage from yesterday had a secondary plan. Remote signals were attempting to override the emergency protocols. If successful, they could force the machine to shut down completely, causing citywide energy failure. Kian quickly analyzed the data. They are trying to block the safety systems, he said. We need to create a manual override. The automated system cannot stop this. Taro smiled. This is your chance, Kian. Show them what humans can do. Kian went to the main console and started improvising. He connected circuits in a new pattern, using knowledge from old textbooks and his own experiments. The lights flickered, screens displayed warnings, but Kian stayed calm. Every connection he made restored part of the system. Slowly, the manual override began to work. The engineers watched in amazement. Machines had failed, but human creativity had restored control. Kian's quick thinking and courage had saved the machine from disaster. Excellent work, Kian, Taro said. You are showing that humans are not just operators. We are innovators, problem solvers, and protectors. Machines are tools, but humans are the guiding force. Kian felt proud. He had faced danger, solved problems, and improved the system. He realized that courage and knowledge together created power far greater than any machine alone. After the emergency, Taro gathered the team. "Today we saw the true strength of humans," he said. "Kian's observations, courage, and creativity prevented a disaster. Even the most advanced machines need human intelligence to succeed." Kian watched the engineers and Taro, feeling a sense of belonging he had never felt before. On the streets, he had been ignored or chased away. Here, he was respected, valued, and needed. The rest of the day was spent reviewing safety measures and improving systems. Kian suggested better monitoring techniques, redundant safety lines, and small adjustments that made the machine even more reliable. Every suggestion was implemented. As evening came, Kian and Taro walked to the observation deck, looking over the city. Ships landed, lights glowed, and people moved through the streets. Kian realized that the city depended on energy and technology, but humans were what kept it safe. "Machines alone could not protect it, Taro," Kian said quietly. "I understand now. Humans are not just inventors. We are protectors. Even small actions can save many lives." Taro nodded. "Exactly, Kian. That is why I want you to continue learning. Humans will face challenges, but with courage, intelligence, and creativity, we can overcome anything." Kian looked at the city lights, thinking about the future. He knew that dangers would come again. Sabotage, accidents, and unforeseen problems would test humans and machines alike, but he felt ready. With knowledge, observation, and courage, he could face whatever came next. That night, Kian returned to his small corner of the city. He lay down thinking about the day. He had learned, acted, and saved lives. He had demonstrated the human edge, the ability to think, imagine, and solve problems where machines failed. He closed his eyes, feeling a new sense of purpose. He was no longer just a boy surviving on the streets. He was a human capable of extraordinary deeds, a protector and thinker who could face danger and succeed. And deep inside, Kian knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and new opportunities. Humans had the power to lead, protect, and innovate, and he was ready to be part of that power. In Orion 9, a small boy had proven that courage, observation, and creativity could save lives. The machines were impressive, but humans were extraordinary. Kian had shown the true human edge, and the galaxy would remember it in the days to come. Kian smiled faintly to himself. He had survived the streets, faced sabotage, and saved a powerful machine. But more importantly, he had learned the value of human intelligence, courage, and action. And he knew that his journey had only just begun. The city of Orion 9 glimmered under the morning sun as Kian arrived at Taroven's laboratory. The past days had been filled with lessons, danger, and discoveries. Kian had faced sabotage, stabilized the machine, and learned the true power of human intelligence. Today, Taro had promised him a new challenge, one that would test everything Kian had learned. Inside the lab, Taro greeted him with a serious expression. "Kian, we have received information that another attempt to sabotage the machine may occur. This time, the threat is larger. The rival corporation has learned from their first failure, and they will be more cautious and clever. We must prepare." Kian's heart raced. He had faced danger before, but he knew this would be different. "I understand," he said. "I will help however I can," Ero nodded. "Good. Today, you will lead part of the defense. Observe, plan, and act. Machines can assist, but humans will be the deciding factor." The laboratory was alive with activity. Engineers adjusted systems, ran simulations, and checked every part of the energy prototype. Kian moved among them, observing every detail. He noticed small weaknesses the engineers had missed, tiny fluctuations in energy flow, minor delays in sensor response, and subtle vibrations in the core. "These could be exploited," he said. "We need additional safeguards here and here." Taro followed Kian's gaze. "Very good. Make the adjustments." Kian worked quickly, guiding the engineers as they reinforced the system. His mind raced with ideas, combining his street-smart intuition with the lessons he had learned in the lab. He created new monitoring protocols, added backup energy paths, and designed emergency shutoffs that could operate manually if needed. By midday, the system was stronger than ever. Kian felt proud, but he knew the real test was still to come. Suddenly, alarms sounded across the lab. Red lights flashed, and a warning appeared on the main screen. "Intruder alert. Unauthorized access detected." Kian's eyes sharpened. "They are here," he said. "We need to act fast," Taro nodded. "Stay calm, Kian. Lead us. The intruders moved carefully through the corridors, attempting to reach the machine's core. Kian quickly analyzed their approach. He noticed patterns in their movement, anticipating their next steps. He directed the engineers to secure certain areas while he moved to intercept the intruders directly. Using maintenance tunnels and overhead panels, Kian approached the intruders from above. He could see their equipment attempting to override the safety systems. He realized that a direct confrontation could be dangerous, so he relied on clever tactics. Kian dropped small clamps and jamming devices onto their panels, temporarily disabling their tools. The intruders cursed but could not fix the problems quickly. Using his knowledge of the building and his quick thinking, Kian guided the security team to intercept the intruders without harm. Taro watched from the main console. Incredible, Kian. Your strategy, observation, and courage prevented disaster. Machines alone could not have done this. Humans are the true protectors. Kian felt a warm pride. He had faced real danger, used his mind and skills, and helped save the machine and the people around it. He realized that courage, intelligence, and creativity combined were more powerful than any machine. After the intruders were secured, the lab team reviewed the entire system. Kian suggested additional improvements, creating backup protocols and emergency measures that made the machine nearly impossible to sabotage. Engineers implemented his ideas quickly, impressed by his ingenuity. Taro gathered everyone together. Today, Kian has shown us the strength of humans, he said. Observation, creativity, courage, and action are what make us extraordinary. Machines can follow rules, but humans can think beyond rules, adapt, and protect. This is the true power of humanity. Kian looked around at the team. He had never felt so valued. On the streets, he had been ignored or avoided. Here, people listened to him, respected him, and relied on his intelligence. For the first time, he felt that he could truly make a difference. Later, Taro took Kian aside. I want the world to know about you, Kian, he said. Your courage and intelligence have saved lives and improved our technology. You deserve recognition, and I want you to inspire others to believe in the power of humans no matter their background. Kian smiled faintly. I just wanted to help, he said. Taro shook his head. Helping is important, but showing others that humans are capable of extraordinary things is even more powerful. You have a chance to inspire the next generation of thinkers, inventors, and protectors. Kian thought about the streets, the nights spent watching the stars, and the small corner he had called home. He realized that his life had changed forever. He had gone from a boy surviving alone to a young human who could influence the future. The city of Orion 9 held a ceremony that evening. Taro publicly acknowledged Kian's bravery and intelligence. He explained to the citizens how Kian's quick thinking and courage had prevented a disaster and improved the energy system. The crowd listened in awe, inspired by the story of a small boy who had made a huge difference. Kian stood quietly beside Taro, feeling both nervous and proud. People cheered, but he focused on the lesson behind the celebration. It was not about fame or recognition. It was about showing that humans, even the youngest and most overlooked, could rise to challenges and create change. After the ceremony, Taro led Kian to a new laboratory space. This is for you, he said. A place to learn, experiment, and invent. You will continue to grow, and your ideas will shape the future. Humans must always guide technology, and you are a living example of that. Kian looked around at the lab, his heart swelling with hope. He could already imagine the inventions he would create, the discoveries he would make, and the people he could help. The possibilities were endless. Over the next weeks, Kian learned quickly. Taro taught him advanced engineering, energy systems, and safety protocols. Kian applied his own observations and creative thinking, improving devices and suggesting innovations. The two worked as a team, combining experience and intuition. Kian's ideas began to spread throughout the city. Young people who had felt overlooked or powerless were inspired by his story. They started exploring technology, experimenting, and learning. Kian had shown them that anyone, no matter their background, could make a difference. One evening, Kian and Taro stood on the observation deck. Looking at Orion 9, ships landed and took off. Lights glowed across the towers and people moved through the streets below. Kian felt a deep connection to the city and its people. Taro, Kian said softly, I understand now. Machines are powerful, but humans give them purpose. Our courage, creativity, and intelligence make the difference, Taro nodded. Exactly, Kian, that is the message we must share. Humans are capable of extraordinary things when they use their minds and hearts. You have shown that, and you will continue to inspire others. Kian looked at the stars above Orion 9. He remembered the nights on the streets, the cold corners where he had slept, and the dreams he had held close. He realized that humans, even when small or overlooked, could rise to incredible heights. With Taro's guidance, Kian began working on new inventions. He designed energy systems for distant colonies, safety protocols for space stations, and tools to help those in need. Each creation reflected human ingenuity, creativity, and care. And as Kian worked, he never forgot the lesson he had learned from the first day he yelled, "Stop! It's poison." That moment had changed everything. It had shown him that observation, courage, and action could save lives and create hope. In the city of Orion 9, humans had shown their true power. Kian had proven that even a small boy could make a huge difference. Technology was important, but human intelligence, courage, and creativity were irreplaceable. Kian smiled to himself. He had survived the streets, faced danger, stopped sabotage, and learned the true power of humans. He knew that the story of his life was only beginning. The city would remember the boy who had saved it, not because of his strength or wealth, but because of his mind, his courage, and his heart. Kian had shown the galaxy that humans, even small and overlooked, could rise to challenges, innovate, and inspire. And deep inside, Kian knew that humans would always lead, protect, and create no matter what dangers lay ahead.